If you're looking for some awesome movies or TV shows featuring French romance movies, you just click on the right video. Get ready to dive into these amazing ones that showcase unique connections. We're excited to share this ranking with you and would love to hear your favorites in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe, so you never miss out on discovering great movies and TV shows again.
Number 1. Student Services. Director, Emmanuel Berkat.
Laura is 19 years old, studies at university and has a small job in a call center, which however is not enough to pay the rent, expenses, textbooks and decent food. Not wanting to put her parents, a bricklayer and a nurse, in difficulty, short of solutions and without any money other than debt, she ventures online one evening onto an ad site and finds that of Joe, a good-looking 50-year-old, who is looking for a student to exchange some tenderness.
He pays €100 an hour.
Laura tells herself that it will only be once, but the easy money, the problems that suddenly vanish, the possibility of paying for drinks for friends for once or buying a leather jacket, immediately transform her into someone who sells her body for money, trying to quickly forget the discomfort and violence to remember only the envelope and the false independence it brings with it.
Even if she wanted to, getting out of this spiral will be anything but easy for Laura. Number 2. Rus and Bone.
Director, Jacques Audiard. Somewhere in the north of France, Ali, Matthias Schoenartz, and his 5-year-old son Sam, Armand Verger, are poor. Ali is homeless and destitute, but eventually finds refuge with his sister in Antibes. Ali and Sam live there in the garage of the house, a small but beautiful place to stay. One night after a bar fight, Ali runs into Stephanie, Marion Cotillard, and their two fates become increasingly intertwined. Ali cannot believe his luck. He is poor and yet he has aroused the interest of this beautiful and self-confident woman. Both are the absolute opposite of the other, but their love transcends these boundaries. However, the tide soon turns and a stroke of fate presents the young couple with a tough test. Stephanie, a killer whale trainer, suffers an accident that leaves her confined to a wheelchair. The young woman has to learn to deal with her disability.
Number 3. Young and Beautiful. Director, François Ozon. On summer vacation, a few days before her 17th birthday, the pretty Isabelle, Marine Vact, sleeps with a boy for the first time. A big event for many girls, but this night leaves them completely cold. Nevertheless, she recognizes the opportunities that the exchange of physical affection offers her. At the beginning of the school year, she arranges to meet mostly older men who pay her for romance. The men spend €300 per night. While Isabelle makes more and more money, neither her parents nor her friends have any idea about her double life. However, after a tragic incident, she can no longer hide her secret and her afternoon activity is exposed. Since Isabelle herself doesn't take a stance on this, but instead remains persistently silent, her mother, Geraldine Pales, mainly indulges in self-blame. Number 4. Blue is the Warmest Color. Director, Abdelatif Kechiche.
Adele Exarchopoulos, is still in school when she realizes that she is attracted to women. After having her first romantic experiences with a man without feeling much fulfillment, the 17-year-old falls in love with the older art student Emma, Leia Seydoux, who impresses her with her extraordinary looks and her educated middle-class attitude. The two women get involved in an affair that leads to a relationship. After graduating from school, Adele begins training to be a teacher and is completely in love with her friend. Emma makes Adele her muse and introduces her to her select circle of friends, where Adele is received positively, but does not feel completely comfortable in the unfamiliar surroundings. When Emma spends some time with her ex-girlfriend Lise, Mona Walravens, Adele reacts very jealously and throws herself into the arms of the next available man.
Number 5.
One Wild Moment. Director, Jean-François Richet. Antoine and Laurent are longtime friends. In the odor of separation, one divorced the other. They decide to spend the summer in Corsica in the company of their daughters. Luna, Antoine's daughter, is almost 18 years old and has a crush on her dad's friend, Marie, Laurent's daughter, is 17 years old and has a passion for her dad. Anxious Antoine, cool Laurent, the two await the return of the girls every evening, discussing life and fatherhood. But the hot summer and a few too many drinks precipitate the friendly idyll. Provoked on the beach by Luna, Laurent gives in to his spell and forgets who the adult is. The next morning things get complicated. Luna, obsessed with the man, besieges him. Laurent tries to deal with the siege under the eyes of Antoine, who ignores the facts, and Marie, who instead understands him very well.
Number 6. Curiosa. Director, Lou Junet.
Marie de Heredia, Noémie Merlant, lives in legendary Paris at the end of the 19th century and is in a relationship with two very different men. On the one hand, the artistically talented Pierre, Niels Schneider, and then the well-heeled Henri, Benjamin Laverne, both of whom are very fond of they rave. She prefers Pierre, but also longs for security in her life and ultimately marries the rich Henri with an eye on her future. Pierre is beside himself and leaves Paris for North Africa. In Algeria he meets and falls in love with the enthusiastic photographer Zora, Camélia Jordana. But when he finally returns to Paris with her, he sees Marie again, and begins a secret affair with her.
Number 7. Portrait of a Lady on Fire. Director, Céline Sciamma.
On a remote island in Brittany at the end of the 18th century, the Parisian painter Marianne, Noémie Marchant, is commissioned by a widowed countess, Valeria Galino, to draw her daughter's wedding portrait. That sounds easier than it is, because the future bride and former convent student Eloise, Adèle Haenel, rebels against her mother and does not want to model in protest against the arranged marriage. But the portrait is very important for the family because it is the only way to officially announce the marriage to an unknown man from Milan. So Marianne has no choice but to closely observe Eloise as she walks along the seashore and later draw her from memory. The longer the two women spend time together, the deeper they look into each other's eyes, the closer they become.
Number 8. Simple Passion.
Director, Danielle Arbid. In Porto, Helena, Letita Dash, met Alexander, Sergei Polunin, at a party, and a passionate night began. Since then everything has been different, because back in Paris, the literature professor and single mother sees the married man regularly, as he works in the Russian embassy in the French capital. More and more often, Helena finds herself wandering off to Alexander in the next meeting. Everything seems to revolve around him, and the stormy affair develops into an obsession for the woman, which endangers not only herself but also her son.
Number 9. The Beast.
Director, Bertrand Bonello. In the future, technology and artificial intelligence have created a world that is safe and efficient but lacking in emotion. Like everyone, Gabrielle has the possibility of purifying her DNA from the traumas of past lives. But the meeting with Louis will create a link between three time periods: 1910, 2014, 2044, in which different versions of the two characters find themselves compare a great love according to the codes of each era. Great space-time fresco in which love becomes a metaphysical question, and the mellow becomes a connective fiber of time.
Number 10. The Taste of Things.
Director, Tran Anh Hung. Eugénie, Juliette Binoche, has been cooking for the famous restaurateur Dodin Buffont, Benoit McGimmel, for a full 20 years. After this long time, their initially purely business relationship has become more. A shared love for good food gave rise to a warm love for each other. Dodin ultimately wants to make Eugénie his wife. But she doesn't even think about getting married at first and wants to keep her freedom. So Dodin hatches a seductive plan that requires him to put himself at the stove. Adaptation of the novel, La Vie et la Passion de Dodin Buffont, Gourmet, by Marcel Rauff.